Hello, this is the Cobra AirMow 51B, which is a 20-inch mower powered by a Briggs & Stratton engine. It's all in this cardboard box. So what we're going to do is unpack it, take everything out. I'll show you how to assemble it, and then we'll take it outside and go through the starting procedure. Here is the AirMow taken out of all the packaging, and all the protective films have been taken off. So we've got the main mower unit here with the engine. The handlebars need a bit of assembling, very simple. I'll show you how to do that. So they come in two parts here, and we've got all the fixings, all the nuts and the bolts and the split pins that we need. Also comes with an upstand there, so you can put the handle up. There's a spacer for the blade, spark plug spanner, cable clips, the all important manuals there, one for the mower and one for the engine maintenance. And it's also got a kit here that allows you to transport it around, a wheel kit that you can simply clip on and off. So I'll show you how all that works. What we'll do to start with is start to put the handlebar assembly together. What we need for the first part are these two fixings just here. Okay, so we want one either side, and I'm going to take out the R pin there, which is going to locate them into position. So what we need to do to start with, this is the piece that's going to form the base of the handles. I'm going to take off the protective caps that were there in transit. So we've got one on either side, they just slide off. So we don't need those anymore. And then we need to lift the handlebar up, and it's important we get this on the right way. And the easy way to remember how to do this is there is one cable, and the cable leaves the engine there, and we want it there. What we don't want to do is twist it round so it's the other way. So it must be the cable is there, and that will then mean that when we put the upstand on to hold it in position, that's what this bracket's for. So what we do is very simple. We slide the bottom of the handle assembly into this moulded bracket. So we line it up so the hole's all in line, then we use the fix-in, and it's just a case of pushing that through like that. And then with the R-clip here, the R-clip simply pushes down through the hole and locks into place. So that is now secure at this side. That cannot come out until we remove that R-clip. And then we put the other one in this side. So again, it's just line everything up, push it through, and then we get the R-clip, and we just put that in there, just get it into the back. And that's it. So that's now firmly in place and can't come out. I'm just going to turn the mower around a little bit to fit this bracket just here, okay? So it's got a little nut on the end. We need to take the nut off like that. And then what we've got to do is to feed this through there. It's a bit fiddly. Lift this up, because what we want to do is to put it through this hole just here. So what I'm going to do is just to lift that up into position, get that lined up with that hole, which is just there. Give it a bit of takes a bit of a wiggle, and it pops through, as you can see. And then we can pop this 10mm nut back on there. And then that needs tightening on. It's a lock nut, that is, so that won't then vibrate off. So it's just to tighten that onto it. Tighten it until the thread is just visible through the end of the nut, and then we've got a good secure fix in. And the idea of that is that we can then hold this handlebar up, and we can release it for when we're mowing, and then when we want it up, we can just lock it into place. So that is purely what that's for. We can then put on the top part of the handlebar. Really simple to put on. We've got two fixings for this, so we're just going to take those apart like that. And then we need to just offer up the top part of the handle. It needs to be, when you do it, because you could in theory fit it either way, but it needs to be fitted so that the red handle is on the top. So this bracket here is for when we fasten the pull cord onto the handle. So you've got to make sure that this is on the same side, and on the cable side as well. So it's very simple. What we do, the holes are already drilled. It's just a case of offering that up like that. We put the bolt from the inside through to the outside like that. Then we put on the black plastic washer, which is curved to fit around the tubular steel. And then just tighten on like that, and that will tighten and hold the handlebar in place. And then we just repeat that on the second side here. So it's the bolt from the inside out, line it up with the hole, twist that just to make sure that it fits nice and snugly. The black washer on there, and then we've got the red, it's like a wing nut effect, isn't it? But it's a knob there. We just tighten that on nice and tightly. So there we can see now that that we've got the handlebar firmly fixed into place. The next thing is we need to attach this cable to this lever here, and it goes through that hole there, and it's quite fiddly to do. So the easiest way to do it is just to spring it out of the hole like that, and then you can lower it down, just weave that little curved end through, and then spring that back into position like that. And then we've got this spring-loaded lever there, which I'll explain what's that for when we take it out. And the final thing before we put the fuel and oil in it is the transport wheels. These are really handy if you need to move it around the garden, and they fit very simply. What we need to do is to slacken off these red knobs on this side, and then we're going to hook the ends of these over the bolt. Put one there, and then just come around and hook this one on to this side like that, and then we just tighten it back up again, and that holds those firmly in place. And the same with this side, like that. These handles are fastened onto there. They just simply go round the tubular steel and lock into place, and when you want to take these off, the little red button there just releases them. So really simple to fit and take off. And then to lock it into position, we just push it back like that. You can see that pushes the handle into the right position, and then we can lock that with this red knob here. So literally takes a minute to put that on, and what it means is then when you're transporting it from your garage or your shed up the garden or wherever, instead of having to carry it, you can tilt it back on the transport wheels and wheel it along like that. Now when it comes to mowing, what we would do is we would release this here, knock that into position, and that will fold up and you can lock it into position. So you can in theory mow with the transporter on, but it adds quite a bit of weight to it. So I would certainly recommend taking it off. It will make the mowing process much easier, and it doesn't put any strain on anything. And it literally, to take it off, is very simple. We release the quick release, undo these, and it just slides off. So it literally takes 30 seconds. So great addition to it though for transporting it around. Before we put the oil and the petrol in it, we've got a cable clip here. We've only got the one cable, and it's going low down on the handlebar. Simply just slip it over the cable and clip it into position, and it just holds that cable and stops it flapping around. And you may wonder what this is for, this little disc, this alloy disc. This is how you can, if you want to adjust the height of cut. There's no other way of adjusting it. And what we would do with it is underneath, if I just tip this like that, you'll see there we've got the blade underneath. So what you would do is remove this bolt with the washer there and take the blade off, then put the spacer against this fan and blade on top, and then the bolt back in. So basically what it's doing is moving the blade out, the thickness of that, so it will cut the grass that much shorter than the standard setting. So it's there if you need it. Keep it somewhere safe should you ever want to alter it. So what we need to do now is to put some petrol in it, some oil in it, and then we can take it outside and get it started. We'll start with the petrol. This is the petrol cap here, tells you it's petrol. Take off that. And always use clean petrol. Don't use any stale petrol that you've had in containers in the garage or the shed for ages. And the petrol that we get from filling stations, the new grade, is perfectly okay for the mower. There are additives you can put in as well if you want to. So there we go, all topped up. And next we need to put some oil in it. Oil is provided with the mower, so that will be in the box when you get it. This is a bottle, it contains 0.6 of a litre, 600 millilitres. What we need in this particular engine is 440 millilitres. Of course, all that information is in the manual, so do read it. So we're going to put in our 440. It has got some graduations on the side there, so it gives you a guide. But what we really need to do is to test it with the dipstick. All the engines are factory tested, so sometimes there's a small residue of oil in the bottom, so it is important that we do check. So dipstick in, always lock it into the closed position to get a correct reading. And if I take that out and hold it into the light, there is a hatched bit. You can just see it's sort of scratched onto the bottom. I need a little bit more. It's to the first hole, and it needs to be where that second hole is from the bottom of the dipstick. So I'm just going to add a little bit more oil, and then we should have the correct amount in there. Wipe the dipstick so it's nice and dry when it goes in. And there we can see the oil now is to that point just there, which is perfect. So we've got the right amount. So we're all ready to go now. We've got petrol, we've got oil, everything's put together. So we'll lift it outside and I'll show you the starting procedure. As you can see, the wheels do make it much easier to transport around, but I am going to take them off for the actual mowing. So just to recap, we just slacken off here. We release the quick release handles like that and slacken off these two red knobs, and it literally lifts off. Tighten those back up again, and then we can take that away. So literally 15 seconds to get that off. Starting is very simple. It's a recoil start, and to make it easier you can do it from a standing position. So what we're going to do is just to push this red lever down and then just pull this up slowly, and then we can lock it into this little bracket on the handlebar just here. So in future when we start it, we do it like this. And then to release the handlebar, because we've got them locked into this position, we've got the little lever here, just lift it up, pull it back, and we can see then we've got more maneuverability when we're mowing. And starting is very, very simple. It's just a case of pulling this red lever in. You can't start it until you've done that. This is also how you stop the mower. You just simply release it. So this is needed for starting and stopping the engine, and then we pull the recoil and it will start. Now bear in mind this is the first time it's been started, so it might take a couple of pulls initially when the engine's cold. Bear in mind we can also use this on the flat, but because it hovers along, we can use this on slopes with a gradient of up to 45 degrees. So it's great if you've got any banks in your garden. So let's give it a start. Red lever down and away we go. And there you can see the AirMow 51B is so easy to use. It just glides along the lawn and will make a marvellous job of keeping your grass under control.
Remember to register your Cobra online at www.cobragarden.co.uk. Always have your Cobra serviced regularly. Check the website for your nearest dealer.